She shouldn't have fallen for him. Nia, the African herbalist, shouldn't have dared to love a man cloaked in lies. Not in the Yuan Dynasty, where one wrong glance could mean death. And never a man like Seung-ho, a Chinese scribe hiding a secret so dangerous it could burn the empire to ash. Their love was forbidden, a spark in a world of swords and spies. But when their hidden child returns, will he save their love, or destroy it with a vow of vengeance? The herb garden was Nia's sanctuary. Stolen from her African homeland, she'd been forced to serve Princess Kara, a Mongol noble with a cruel streak. Nia's skill with plants kept her alive, barely. One night, as thunder cracked the sky, she slipped into the garden to gather lotus leaves. That's when she saw him, a shadow among the reeds. Seung-ho, the quiet scribe who wrote the princess's letters, stood there, his face pale, blood dripping from a gash on his arm. "Help me," he whispered, eyes wild. "Or they'll kill us both." Nia froze. Why was a scribe out here, wounded at midnight? Her heart screamed to run, but his gaze pinned her. Against every instinct, she dragged him to her hut, her hands shaking as she stitched his wound with horsehair. "Who are you?" she hissed. Seung-ho's voice was low. "Just a scribe, for now." But his eyes lied. And Nia, fool that she was, felt her heart stir. Days turned to weeks. Seung-ho found excuses to linger near Nia's hut, delivering scrolls, fetching water. She noticed his hands, calloused not from pens but from something rougher. Sword maybe. Yet his smile was soft, his Chinese accent gentle when he asked about her herbs. "This one," he'd say, pointing to a lotus. "It means love, doesn't it?" Nia laughed, but her cheeks burned. "It means danger too." One night he didn't leave. Under the stars, he told her of his homeland, Joseon, torn by Mongol rule. She spoke of her village, lost to raiders. Their pain wove them together. When his hand brushed hers, it was fire. "We can't," Nia whispered, pulling back. "They'd kill us." Seung-ho stepped closer. "Then let me die happy." Their kiss was desperate, a stolen breath in a world that wanted them dead. From then on, the herb garden was their secret. Every touch, every whisper was a rebellion. But Seung-ho's late-night vanishings and bloodied clothes told Nia he was no scribe. She didn't ask. Love made her blind. One night, Nia followed him. She couldn't help it. Seung-ho slipped into a storeroom, and she peeked through a crack. He wasn't alone. A man in black handed him a scroll. "The rebels need this," the stranger said. "Don't fail, Seung-ho." Nia's blood ran cold. Seung-ho was a spy, working for a Chinese rebel clan. If caught, he'd be torn apart. She stumbled back to her hut, heart pounding. When Seung-ho found her, his face paled. "You saw," he said. "Why didn't you tell me?" Nia cried. "Because I love you," he said, gripping her shoulders. "And love makes men weak." She wanted to hate him, but his kiss silenced her. They swore to protect each other. But secrets have a price. Soon Nia felt sick, her body changing. She knew the truth before the healer confirmed it. She was pregnant. A child born of a forbidden love was a death sentence. The princess would flay Nia alive, and Seung-ho's rebel clan would see the baby as a risk. Nia hid her growing belly under loose robes, but time ran out. One stormy night, alone in her hut, she gave birth to a boy. His tiny cry broke her heart. Seung-ho burst in, his face torn between joy and fear. "We can't keep him," he said. "They'll find him." Nia sobbed, clutching her son. "Then save him." Seung-ho knew a monk, a wanderer who owed him a debt. At dawn, they wrapped the boy in lotus leaves and gave him to the monk. "Take him far," Nia whispered. "Tell him nothing." The monk nodded and vanished into the mist. Nia collapsed, her arms empty. Seung-ho held her, promising they'd find their son one day. But the empire had other plans. 15 years passed. Nia and Seung-ho survived, their love a fragile secret. Seung-ho's spying grew bolder, his rebel clan closer to uprising. Nia mixed poisons for him, her hands stained for their dream of freedom. But the herb garden was gone, burned in a raid. Their hearts were harder now, yet they still stole kisses in the dark. Then he came. A young warrior, tall and fierce, rode into the palace. His skin was dark like Nia's, his eyes sharp like Seung-ho's. Around his neck hung a lotus pendant, the one Nia had given her son. His name was Kai. Princess Kara summoned him. "You're the warrior who hunts traitors," she said. Kai bowed, his voice like steel. "I seek one man, a spy named Seung-ho. He betrayed my mother and left us to die." Nia, serving in the shadows, dropped her tray. Seung-ho froze beside her. Their son was here, but he'd come to kill. Nia's heart pounded like war drums. Kai, her son, was here, grown into a warrior, his eyes cold as steel. That lotus pendant around his neck, it was hers, the one she'd wrapped him in 15 years ago. But his words cut deeper than any blade. He wanted Seung-ho dead. Nia stumbled into her hut, her hands shaking as she crushed herbs, trying to think. She had to reach Kai to tell him the truth before he found Seung-ho. She slipped into the servants' quarters, where Kai was housed. He stood sharpening a curved sword, his dark skin gleaming with sweat, so like hers. "Boy," she said, voice low, "we need to talk." Kai's eyes narrowed. "I'm no boy, servant. Leave me." Nia's chest tightened. He didn't know her. How could he? She'd given him up to save him. "I know Seung-ho," she said, stepping closer. "He's not what you think." Kai laughed, bitter. "He left my mother to die. I'll gut him myself." Nia's breath caught. "Your mother, what was her name?" He turned away, gripping his pendant. "I don't know. The monks never told me. But Seung-ho's lies killed her. Step aside or you'll regret it." Nia backed away, her heart breaking. She couldn't tell him yet, not here where guards could hear. But she had to act fast. Seung-ho was out there, risking everything for his rebel clan. And Kai was hunting him. Seung-ho moved like a ghost, his breath steady despite the danger. His rebel clan had given him a new task. Kill Lord Timur, a Mongol official who discovered their plans. Timur's death would spark the uprising, but one mistake would expose Seung-ho. He didn't know Kai was in the palace, didn't know his own son was closing in. He climbed down to a balcony, dagger in hand. Timur's room was close, but as he slipped inside, a guard's shout split the night. "Intruder!" Seung-ho cursed, ducking behind a screen. Two guards burst in, swords drawn. He threw a knife, catching one in the shoulder, and tackled the other, slamming him against the wall. Blood stained his hands, but he couldn't stop. The scroll in his robe held names, rebels who'd die if he failed. He fled, leaping to the courtyard below, his heart heavy with thoughts of Nia. Every kill pulled him further from her, but love kept him fighting. As he vanished into the shadows, a figure watched, Kai. His eyes locked on Seung-ho's fleeing form. Nia couldn't wait. She had to protect Seung-ho and reach Kai. Princess Kara was hosting a feast tomorrow, where Kai would be honored as a warrior. It was Nia's chance to get close. But first she needed leverage. Kara trusted Nia's herbs, sleep tonics, pain salves. Tonight, Nia mixed something new. A truth serum, strong enough to loosen tongues but not kill. If she could slip it to Kai, maybe he'd listen long enough for her to explain. She crept to the princess's chambers, where Kara was dining with advisors. Nia's hands shook as she poured the serum into a wine jug meant for the feast. If caught, she'd be tortured. But for Seung-ho, for Kai, she'd risk it all. As she left, a guard grabbed her arm. "What's in that jug?" he growled. Nia's heart stopped. "Just wine," she lied, smiling. "For the princess." He let her go, but his eyes followed her. Nia knew time was running out. She had to find Seung-ho before Kai did. Kai was no fool. He'd seen the scribe leap from a balcony, moving like a trained killer. Seung-ho was the spy, and Kai's blood burned to end him. He tracked Seung-ho to the stables, where rebels sometimes hid messages. The air smelled of hay and fear. Kai crouched behind a stall, watching as Seung-ho slipped inside, checking a saddlebag. Kai stepped out, sword raised. "Seung-ho," he called, voice like ice. Seung-ho spun, dagger ready. Their eyes met, father and son, though neither knew. "Who are you?" Seung-ho demanded. "The man who'll kill you," Kai said, lunging. Their blades clashed, sparks flying in the dark. Seung-ho was fast, but Kai was stronger, his strikes fueled by years of pain. He slashed Seung-ho's arm, drawing blood. Seung-ho stumbled, kicking a bucket to trip Kai. "Why do you want me dead?" Seung-ho shouted, dodging a swing. "You betrayed her," Kai roared. "My mother." Seung-ho froze just for a second. That was enough. Kai's sword grazed his chest, tearing his robe. But before Kai could strike again, a scream cut through the night. Nia had followed Kai, her heart racing. She'd seen him leave the palace, sword in hand, and knew he'd found Seung-ho. Now, in the stables, she saw her son's blade at her lover's throat. "Stop!" she screamed, throwing herself between them. Kai's sword paused. "Get out of my way, woman." Nia's eyes locked on his pendant, then on Seung-ho's bleeding arm. "Kai," she said, voice breaking. "He's not your enemy." I laughed, cold. "You know nothing of my pain." "I know everything," Nia whispered, stepping closer. She reached for his pendant, her fingers trembling. "This lotus. I gave it to you." Kai's face twisted, confusion mixing with rage. "Liar. My mother's dead." Seung-ho stared, his dagger dropping. "Nia, what are you saying?" She turned to him, tears falling. "He's our son." The stables went silent, only the horses' breaths echoing. Kai's sword shook in his hand. "You're mad," he spat. "Tomorrow, at the princess's feast, I'll finish this. Seung-ho dies." He shoved past Nia, vanishing into the night. Seung-ho grabbed Nia, his eyes wild. "Is it true?" "He's ours." Nia nodded, sobbing. "And he'll kill you unless we stop him." The night was sleepless, the palace humming with the feast's preparations. Nia knelt in her hut, her hands stained with herbs, the truth serum she'd mixed for Kai hidden in her sleeve. Her eyes were red from crying, but her heart burned with resolve. She'd lost Kai once. She wouldn't lose him again, nor Seung-ho, the man who'd given her a reason to survive this cruel empire. Seung-ho slipped into her hut, his arm still bleeding from Kai's sword. His face was grim, but his touch was soft as he pulled her close. "If he's our son," he whispered, "why does he hate me?" Nia's voice broke as she told him everything. How she'd given Kai to a monk to save him, how the monks must have lied, twisting his heart against Seung-ho. Seung-ho's eyes darkened. "Then we fight for him," he said. "Together." They kissed, desperate, knowing it might be their last. Dawn broke, and the feast hall glittered with silk and gold. Princess Kara sat on her throne, her cruel smile hiding the fact that she suspected traitors among her court. Kai stood at her side, his lotus pendant catching the light, his sword polished for the kill. Nia served wine, her heart pounding as she slipped the truth serum into Kai's cup. Seung-ho, disguised as a scribe, lingered near the back, his rebel clan ready to strike if the plan failed. Nia's eyes met his across the room, a silent promise. They'd survive this or die together. Kai raised his cup, but his gaze locked on Nia. Her breath hitched. Did he suspect? He drank, his eyes never leaving hers. The serum would loosen his tongue, make him listen, but time was short. Nia stepped forward, ignoring the guard's glares. "Kai," she said, loud enough for the hall to hear. "You wear my pendant. I'm your mother." The crowd gasped, whispers rippling like wildfire. Kara's eyes narrowed, her fingers tightening on her throne. Kai's face twisted, rage battling confusion. "Lies," he shouted, drawing his sword. "You're a servant, nothing more." Nia's heart shattered, but she held her ground. I gave you to a monk to save you, she said, tears falling. Seung-ho is your father. He never betrayed me. Seung-ho pushed through the crowd, dropping his disguise. She speaks the truth, he said, voice steady. You're our son, Kai. The hall erupted, guards drawing blades, nobles shouting. Kai's sword shook, his eyes darting between Nia and Seung-ho. The serum was working. His anger faltered, doubt creeping in. Why would you abandon me? He whispered, voice cracking. Nia stepped closer, her hand reaching for his. We loved you too much to let you die, she said. For a moment Kai's sword lowered, his pendant glinting like a star. But Kara's laughter cut through the silence. What a touching tale, she sneered, clapping slowly. But spies and traitors don't get happy endings. She snapped her fingers, and guards surrounded Nia, Seung-ho and Kai. Seung-ho's a rebel, Kara said, her voice like venom. And you, boy, are tainted by his blood. Kill them all. Kai froze, his sword still in hand. Nia's heart stopped. Would he turn on them? But Kai's eyes met hers, and something shifted. The serum, the pendant, her words, they'd reached him. He turned not toward Seung-ho but toward the guards, his blade flashing. Chaos exploded. Kai fought like a storm, cutting down guards to protect Nia and Seung-ho. Seung-ho grabbed a fallen sword, joining his son, their movements eerily alike. Nia snatched a dagger from a guard, her hands steady despite her fear. The hall was a battlefield, tables overturned, screams echoing. But Kara wasn't done. She drew a hidden crossbow, aiming at Kai's back. Nia saw it first. No, she screamed, shoving Kai aside. The bolt struck her shoulder, pain searing through her. She fell, blood pooling, but her eyes stayed on Kai. Live, she whispered. Seung-ho roared, rushing to Nia's side. Kai stared, horror dawning as he realized she'd saved him. But the fight wasn't over. A horn blared outside. The rebel clan had launched their uprising. The palace gates burst open, rebels pouring in, led by the man Seung-ho had met in the storeroom years ago. Swords clashed, fire spreading as torches fell. Seung-ho lifted Nia, his face torn with grief. Stay with me, he begged, but her breath was weak. Kai fought his way to them, his sword dripping red. Mother, he said, voice breaking, the word foreign yet true. Nia smiled, her hand touching his face. My boy, she whispered. Kara fled, but the rebels cornered her. The palace was theirs, but at a cost. Seung-ho carried Nia to the herb garden's ruins, Kai at his side. Her wound was deep, the bolt poisoned. Nia's eyes fluttered, her voice faint. You found each other, she said, looking at her husband and son. That's enough. Seung-ho shook his head, tears falling. Don't leave us, he pleaded. Kai knelt, clutching her hand. I'm sorry, he sobbed. I didn't know. Nia's breath slowed, her gaze on the stars. Love him, Kai, she said to Seung-ho. Like we loved you. Her hand fell, her eyes closing. Seung-ho's cry echoed through the night, raw and broken. Kai buried his face in his father's shoulder, their grief binding them where love once had. The rebels secured the palace, but victory felt hollow. Seung-ho and Kai stood together, Nia's pendant in Kai's hand, a symbol of a love that defied an empire but couldn't escape its cruelty. Days later, Seung-ho and Kai left the palace, carrying Nia's ashes to the river. They scattered them under the moonlight, where lotus flowers once bloomed. Seung-ho's hair was streaked with gray, his heart half gone. Kai's eyes were older now, his vengeance replaced by a vow to honor his mother's sacrifice. She loved you, Kai said, voice steady. Seung-ho nodded, his hand on his son's shoulder. And you, he said. They walked away, father and son, bound by loss and love, their future uncertain but together. Their forbidden love burned bright, but the empire's shadow took its toll. Nia's sacrifice saved her son and her love, but at a price that echoes in their hearts forever. What did you think of Nia's story? Comment below. Should Kai and Seung-ho find peace? For more heart-wrenching tales, subscribe to Jade Lantern Stories and hit that bell to never miss a story. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep love alive no matter the cost.